Welcome to our channel. Listen to short audiobooks every day and improve yourself.
Sig Berg, The Virtue Proposition. 5 virtues that will transform leadership, team performance, and you. In the world of leadership and organizations, a fundamental question arises. Should teams prioritize value propositions or virtue propositions? This distinction is not just semantic. It strikes at the core of how leaders approach their goals and navigate the challenges they face. Teams that pursue value propositions are fixated on crafting a product, service, or image that appears appealing in the short term. Their primary concern is to make themselves, their company, or their offering appear more attractive and desirable, even if it means bending the truth, cutting corners, or sweeping inconvenient details under the rug. As long as the end goal is achieved, the means to get there are often viewed as negotiable. Teams guided by virtue propositions take a fundamentally different approach. Their focus is on delivering consistent, principled improvement to their product, organization, or individual growth. They recognize that certain moral virtues are not subjective constructs or cultural relativities, but objective realities that transcend time and context. Virtuous leaders anchor their decisions and actions in an unwavering commitment to these virtues, even when it may be tempting or expedient to compromise them. They understand that true progress and sustainable success cannot be built on a foundation of deception, corner-cutting, or a myopic fixation on short-term gains. By anchoring themselves in timeless principles of love, integrity, truth, excellence, and relationships, virtuous leaders can steer their teams and organizations towards sustainable, principled success. The 5 virtues. What truly defines a great leader? While numerous philosophies and methodologies have been proposed, one approach stands out as a beacon of enduring wisdom: virtue-based leadership. This paradigm is grounded in the integration of 5 core virtues, forming the bedrock upon which exceptional leadership is built. The first of the 5 core virtues is love. A virtue that transcends mere emotion, love manifests as a genuine commitment to serving others over oneself. A virtuous leader aims to inspire, believes in their team, treats others with respect, and works tirelessly to build the capacity of those they lead. Even in the face of adversity, they refuse to humiliate or demean, choosing instead to listen and guide with a firm yet compassionate hand. Next, we have the virtue of integrity. Virtuous leaders understand the importance of aligning their words with their actions. They say what is important, act according to their stated beliefs, and do the right thing even when no one is watching. Self-awareness and humility enable them to admit mistakes, seek feedback, and maintain a consistent, principled approach to leadership. Our third core leadership virtue is truth. Grounded in reality, virtuous leaders possess a clear distinction between right and wrong, and between fact and opinion. They are realistic about their own strengths and weaknesses, stand up for what is right, and speak up even when it is uncomfortable. Honesty and authenticity are their guiding lights. Number 4 in our list is excellence. Complacency is antithetical to virtue-based leadership. Virtuous leaders strive for continuous improvement, conducting themselves with integrity and bringing out the best in others. They set high standards for themselves and their teams, holding everyone accountable while creating a positive, nurturing environment for growth. And finally, we have the 5th of our core virtues in leadership: relationships. At its core, leadership is about people, not mere tasks or achievements. Virtuous leaders understand this fundamental truth, caring deeply about their teams, listening with empathy, encouraging growth, offering constructive feedback, and cultivating an atmosphere of trust and rapport. While these 5 virtues are powerful individually, their true strength lies in their integration, a synergy facilitated by a 6th virtue: courage. It takes courage to embody the 5 core virtues consistently, to challenge the status quo, and to inspire transformative change. When these virtues are seamlessly woven together, a flourishing of both personal and organizational growth becomes inevitable. The path to becoming a virtuous leader begins with being a virtuous follower. It is a journey of self-discovery, anchored in the questions: who am I? What is my purpose? What are my strengths and weaknesses? Transformation comes when you combine the core virtues with self-awareness. When you possess both, you understand the leaps you must make, and you can purposefully strive to become the best version of yourself. Become a servant leader. Conventional leadership wisdom venerates the heroic individual, the star quarterback who leads the comeback in the fourth quarter, or the military commander who masterminds the pivotal battle. We idolize freak successes like the 1969 Mets season ending in a World Series victory, or the Allied forces' victory at the Battle of the Bulge in 1944. This leadership mythology focuses intensely on the figurehead, the lone leaderly genius pulling the levers. But truly, great leaders know that followers, not the leader alone, are the key to any leadership success. Without cultivating the conditions for engaged, motivated followership, even the most brilliant leader can achieve little. Leadership is grammatically a noun, but should be viewed as a verb, an ongoing synergistic exchange between leader and follower. Really, it's this relationship that makes all the difference. When we take a narrow binary approach of leader and follower, teams become siloed. Jobs exist to be done, projects to be completed, with leaders thinking and strategizing while the teams handle execution. There's no incentive to pull together, exceed expectations, or break paradigms. But leadership is fundamentally a relationship of influence. Those in positions of power who don't truly influence aren't leaders. A leader must be someone worth following. And someone worth following isn't merely technically competent, but also visionary and virtuous. Every great leader was once, and still remains, a follower themselves. The best leaderships exemplify servant leadership, a concept coined by Robert Greenleaf, which means putting followers' needs and growth first. Servant leaders see their role as supporting and empowering others. For example, the physician and medical anthropologist Dr. Paul Farmer dedicated his career to serving impoverished populations, building a movement of accompanied community health workers. His approach demonstrates how leaders can build trust and loyalty by working alongside their team members, as Farmer did by living in the communities he served rather than directing from afar. Farmer's success in scaling his organization, Partners in Health from a small clinic in Haiti to a global health organization, showcases how servant leadership can drive sustainable growth and innovation, even in challenging environments. Servant leadership prioritizes creating conditions where all can thrive and excel, not glorifying a single leader. It's an ethic of enabling others' highest potential through virtuous influence, the truest mark of an authentic leader worth following. Lean into diversity. Truly effective teams don't just embrace diversity, they require it. Great leaders understand how to cultivate and leverage diversity for maximum team success. As with all aspects of virtuous leadership, it requires the leader to pursue an ongoing relational dynamic with their team members. A worrying recent trend of quiet quitting has emerged, where employees largely check out and do the bare minimum at work. This might look like an accountant who used to be a top performer, but now refuses to take on any additional responsibilities beyond their core duties. Or it might be a once hands-on manager who quietly stops providing extra mentoring and support to their team. According to a 2022 Gallup survey, an astonishing 50% of the U.S. workforce consists of these quiet quitters. Imagine if half a competitive rowing crew simply didn't lift their oars. The boat would never reach the finish line. Yet we accept similar levels of disengagement in the corporate sphere. Strong teams should elevate one another, but currently most professional teams are dragging each other down. Embracing diversity is the key to reversing this trend and unlocking team potential. Diversity guarantees the constant input of new viewpoints and fresh feedback critical for growth. Without it, communication becomes an echo chamber and feedback channels unhealthy. To achieve these qualities, the virtuous leader needs to build a metaphorical round table of diverse voices and perspectives. The legendary Round Table brought together King Arthur's noble knights alongside characters like the wizard Merlin and court jester Dagonet. In most organizations today, the inner circle consists of the leader plus a few knights, a clear lack of structural diversity. To foster a true culture of feedback, make it a shared responsibility from the outset. Don't simply dole out feedback as the leader, but first solicit thoughts from the team using frameworks like the CCI model. The first C stands for context, which means you need to start by defining the specific situation in question. The second C is conduct, which means you highlight the behavior being addressed. And finally, we have the I, which stands for intent, and involves clarifying the motivation behind your feedback. By adhering to the CCI framework, even in emotional situations, you ensure your feedback stays targeted to the issue at hand and attacks the problem, not your people. Without diversity, teams inevitably become insular and groupthink sets in. The leader then falls into the trap of micromanaging to drive accountability. Avoid this by coaching yourself to stay focused on the what and not the how. Communicate your vision clearly, but don't dictate how it gets executed. A diverse team's divergent perspectives breed constructive friction and new insights. The open exchange of ideas kindles engagement and elevates everyone's performance. Ultimately, diversity is a force multiplier, the key to unlocking your team's full creative and operational potential. Build a leaderless organization. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu offered this profound wisdom on leadership. When the best leader's work is done, the people will say, "We did it ourselves." The virtuous leader understands that true leadership is not about being a heroic lone figurehead. Companies that achieve lasting success often appear leaderless from the outside. This is when the virtues of leadership have become so deeply embedded and widely shared throughout the organization that they can't be pinpointed to any single person. These organizations resemble the highly cooperative and decentralized systems we see in nature, like beehives, ant colonies, and schools of fish. A leaderless organization taps into the full creative and operational potential of its people. It exceeds performance goals and positions itself for sustainable long-term excellence. While crisply led from a strategic level, on the ground, it is a model of distributed authority and shared ownership over a vision. The virtuous leader can bring this powerful ideal to life because the 5 core leadership virtues — love, integrity, truth, excellence, and relationships — all reinforce that leadership is about service to the collective, not the individual. Whether an organization has one virtuous leader or a team that shares these virtues, the wise leader understands that their primary task is to develop and elevate their people. They are catalytic forces whose chief aim is to build up the motivated autonomy and leadership capacity of their teams over time. Rather than consolidating authority and decision-making power, virtuous leaders return it to those closest to the issues. They share overarching ownership of the organizational vision and goals, holding everyone accountable as a team for achieving those aims. When the team delivers, everyone from leadership to the front lines is recognized and rewarded for the collective success. This builds a self-reinforcing upward cycle of engagement, trust, and ever-increasing empowerment. Team members feel a tangible stake in the organization's mission and the motivation to give their complete effort. As the team's competence grows, so does their latitude to take on more and more responsibility. The leader's role becomes ever more consultative and in service of clearing obstacles for their high-performing team. Ultimately, the pinnacle of virtuous leadership is making yourself increasingly unnecessary through your own success in developing leaders across the whole team. When people feel uplifted and invested in the collective success, the work gets done in a self-directed fashion with little need for heavy top-down oversight. A leaderless organization has been instituted, with the original leader having made their own role redundant through cultivating a culture of broad leadership practice. As Lao Tzu put it, the people will say, "We did it ourselves," the highest compliment to the virtuous leader. To the virtue proposition by Sig Berg is that virtue-based leadership, grounded in the core virtues of love, integrity, truth, excellence, and relationships, is more effective than a narrow focus on short-term value propositions. The pinnacle of virtuous leadership is making yourself increasingly unnecessary by successfully cultivating a culture of broad leadership practice across an entire team.